Doug and I just got back from a huge birthday hiking trip, and I want to share the trip with you and also find out what your bucket list trips are. Welcome, I'm Sheri Traxler with ViREO Life, author of Go Forward, 28 Days to Eat, Move, and Enjoy Life God's Way. Where did the idea for a birthday hiking trip come from? 10 years ago, for my 40th birthday, doing the thing that women are not supposed to do, but there you go, we decided we wanted to celebrate. I decided I wanted to celebrate by hiking 40 miles in Utah and Colorado. We went to Arches National Park and hiked to Hallett Peak. If you want more pictures from that trip, just go to my website. It is full of pictures from that trip, or even on the cover of my book, that is one of the pictures that we took on that trip. And we had so much fun that I said, let's do this every time on all the big birthdays. Let's go hike at least that many miles. So we decided this time to hike at least 50 miles in the Grand Tetons and Yellowstone. And my husband had been to Yellowstone as a child in a Boy Scout troop. I had never been to any of that area, so this was all new to me, and it was thrilling, and I am excited to share this trip with you. By the end of the trip, I was pretty sleep deprived, so the final clip you'll see on this, it was not pretty. But that does mean I have a lot of lessons I learned that I'm going to do a part 2. In fact, I'm going to do a 3-part to this series. This, where I share the trip. The second, where I share my lessons from adventure and travel and packing and all the lessons from it, to help you as you plan your bucket list trips and train for them. And then a third part of some life lessons. And hopefully, I've been a little teary-eyed. I hope that doesn't show too much on this, as I have really embraced a lot of life lessons from this trip. And I'll put that as a third video in this series so that this doesn't end up being an hour video for you to watch all at once. Let's get started. If your goal is to simply see the Grand Tetons, not to do any hiking, really all you have to do is fly into Jackson Hole, get off the plane, and then take the picture, because the Tetons are right there at the airport. It is breathtaking when you get just off the plane. We drove there to the Silver Dollar Saloon. A friend had recommended that we go there, and another friend had said, Sheri, please take a picture of an elk for me. Well, there was no guarantee that I was going to see an elk, but at the Silver Dollar Saloon, I got elk tip salad and took a picture of that just in case I didn't see any other elk to show her. Our first hike, I got a lesson in perspective, and I'll share more about this when I do the Life Lessons video part 3. As we hiked to Phelps Lake, there are 12 lakes, or at least 12 lakes, around the Grand Teton area. And we were hiking to one of them, and our focus was forward, as it should be, on the lake. When we stopped and turned around, this was what we saw. We walked past that gorgeous rock and canyon formation and didn't even see it. When we changed perspective, we got to see something completely different. So what in life am I only seeing one side of? What do you need to change and see a different perspective on? Our next hike was an oops hike, otherwise known as we got lost. And I'll share some lessons for you in the second video on how to prevent getting lost when you're hiking. Learned that the hard way. The first couple of days, I was being smart, and I planned some easy hikes because we knew we were going to hike at altitude. So it was okay if the hikes were long, they just didn't need to be very steep. So I picked out ones that said they were easy, and we were supposed to walk around a lake called String Lake. We ended up somehow at this lake, which is Jenny Lake. And after that lake, which we thought was String Lake, we start going up this hill, and it is hard hiking. And I think, if this is what they call easy, I don't know if I want strenuous at the end of the week. We fortunately had a park ranger pass us, and we said, where are we in relation to String Lake? And she said, oh, you missed the turnoff a couple of miles back there. This is going up to Inspiration Point. Oh, I remember Inspiration Point. I think I read somewhere that was a strenuous hike. Good, we're not going to have that much trouble hiking at altitude later. That afternoon was a short hike to Lee Lake. And it was a short hike because we wanted to beat the storm that was coming in. That is something in the mountains to be very aware of, even in the early fall. Well, that meant we woke up the next morning to snow. We let the snow melt enough that at least the roads were clear. Well, we thought the roads were clear. This is going to be another lesson in the next video, but a quick little tidbit on it. We go in to the roads, what we thought were clear. We got to the park entrance, and the park ranger at the gate said, no, you're going to have to go around, and I'll tell you the benefit of that in the next video. But we still got to the afternoon hike that we wanted to do. We had to rearrange a lot of the hikes because of the snow, because initially it had not been predicted. The hike that we did that day was just a short hike at Taggart Lake. We knew at that point we couldn't do the longer, steeper hikes with the slushy, icy snow still, so we said, we're going to rearrange and go to Yellowstone the next day. Oh, Yellowstone was amazing. On a quick lunch break between Upper Geyser and Midway Geyser Basin in Yellowstone National Park, you all, it has been gorgeous today. Just beautiful scenery, and I'll show you some pictures of what we've seen. We've had snow. It snowed yesterday and about 20 degrees this morning, but it's warming up. It's close to 50 now, so we're down into just a few layers. But I wanted to share real quickly the insight that I had, because I so enjoyed lunch today. Sandwich, few chips, grapes, celery, and thoroughly enjoyed it because of the scenery. How often do I take for granted and I don't go eat outside when I could? I don't go walk outside when I could. That's my encouragement to you, is don't take for granted what's in your backyard. Go enjoy it. After the Yellowstone day and that inspiring lunch, we had our hardest day of hiking. Oh man, this is Amphitheater Lake. It was a 5-mile hike up that took 3 hours. But as you can tell, the scenery's worth it. It normally doesn't take quite that long, even at this elevation, but all that snow you see, it was slush and
icy. So yeah, it took a while to come up.
Amphitheater Lake that you just saw is a subalpine lake, which means it is a lake that's right at the tree line. And it is very steep to get to. We didn't have trekking poles to help with the ice. That would have definitely aided. But I did have this one makeshift pole to help on the way down. But the view getting there was really as breathtaking as the lake itself. Then the next day we got to summit Taylor Mountain, which is in a different area of the Tetons and is very close to Idaho. This was the trip that we did with a guide.
I just finished a 10,000 foot summit, and I've got to show you all some of the amazing views. We've got Grand Teton in the back, and I can't quite tell what you can see with this, and I'm just going to kind of do a panoramic that I can. We've got Idaho in the background there. The guide we've had has been phenomenal, and I'll tell you about them later. That's the summit that we just came off of. How about I flip the camera around? I'll do that. So there is Grand Teton, and you might be able to hear my husband and our guide talking. And then this is another mountain range. When I get back, I'll put it on the screen for you. And then the three little humps right there, the last one is called Mount Glory. And it's just, I mean, everything is incredible. And yes, it was a tough hike up. But one of the things our guide reminded us was take it slow and easy, which we did. We had trekking poles this time. She provided trekking poles, and what a difference that makes. And I do want to tell you about the company that we used for this guided hike in the backcountry. Is Teton Backcountry Guides. If you are coming out for hiking or skiing in the Teton Valley, Jackson Hole area, they are top notch. They have been phenomenal, so definitely use them. So on to the next piece. Wow.
The next morning we got up super early because I'm a sunrise person and I wanted to see the sunrise over the Tetons. And this has a special story related that I'll share in the third video about life lessons, because that sunrise has a neat story behind it. But here's a picture of the sunrise over the Tetons. And unfortunately, I didn't get my camera out fast enough to get a picture of what I'm about to tell you. At that sunrise, there was a lone bison in that field, and next thing we knew, it wasn't there because it had jumped the 6-foot fence. And we found out later that that was not abnormal. Bisons, as large of an animal as they are, will jump from a standing position, jump a 6-foot fence. One of our last hikes was Grand View Point, and this was actually one of my favorite hikes, not because of it was such a stunning view, but it was unique because when you get to the summit, on one side you see 2 lakes, then on the other side you see Jackson Lake, which is it actually is the largest lake in that area. Little reminder before the last sleep-deprived video clip that I have for you is to watch next week's video, because I will share with you the travel lessons, adventure lessons, hiking lessons to help you in your adventures. Good morning. Well, good morning for me anyway. We got to the airport at 5:30 this morning, and I'm tucked away in a little corner to shoot this final segment for you. Thanks so much for going on this journey with me. I hope that it has inspired you to stay physically active, to get out there and have some adventure. But I'm getting ready to leave let's see where it is, the Jackson Hole Airport
Thanks so much for subscribing, and until next time, find your path and fulfill your potential.